Charles Bronson didn't just carry guns in the Death Wish films. He transformed them into symbols of righteous vengeance that defined an entire era of cinema. While other actors played tough guys, Bronson became the personification of urban justice. His weapon choices carefully selected instruments tracing Paul Kersey's evolution from architect to avenging angel. The Death Wish franchise represented America's response to urban decay and institutional failure, each firearm marking a specific phase in Kersey's transformation, from peaceful professional to professional avenger, wielding everything from compact concealment pieces to hand cannon magnums that announced his presence before he pulled the trigger. Number 6. Cult Detective Special, The Pocket Protector, Death Wish III, 1985. At number 6, we have the revolver that proves deadly force doesn't require massive size. The Cult Detective Special represented the ultimate concealment weapon, and in Death Wish 3, Bronson's character understands that survival in urban warfare requires being armed everywhere, always, without announcing it to the world. Death Wish 3 escalated Paul Kersey's war from personal vendetta to neighborhood liberation. The Cult Detective Special serves as his backup piece, the gun he carries when the primary weapon goes empty or the situation demands something easily concealed. This wasn't a hero gun, it was a survivor's tool. The Colt Detective Special's .38 special chambering fires a 125-grain bullet at 900 feet per second through its 2-inch barrel, delivering 224 foot-pounds of defensive energy. Weighing just 21 ounces with a 6-round capacity, this snub-nosed revolver could disappear in an ankle holster or coat pocket, while delivering fight-stopping power at social distances. First introduced in 1927, the Detective Special became the gold standard for concealed carry among law enforcement and civilians who understood that being armed beats being sorry. The 2-inch barrel sacrificed velocity compared to full-size service revolvers, but gained something more valuable: complete concealability without printing through clothing. Bronson's handling reveals Kersey's tactical evolution. By Death Wish III, he's no longer an amateur vigilante learning on the job. He's a professional urban warrior who understands backup weapons, tactical reloads, and the importance of never being caught unarmed. The Detective Special represents that professional mindset. The .38 special cartridge has saved more lives than any other defensive round in American history. While not as powerful as the .45 ACP or .44 Magnum, its combination of manageable recoil, proven stopping power, and widespread availability made it the thinking person's defensive choice for decades. Watch Bronson's draw from concealment. That's not Hollywood choreography. That's proper defensive technique drilled into muscle memory through repetitive training. The smooth presentation, the two-handed grip, the controlled trigger press. These details separate Death Wish from typical action films, where actors wave guns like props. The Detective Special's double-action trigger allowed rapid defensive fire without manually cocking the hammer, though single-action fire provided better accuracy for precision shots. Bronson demonstrates both techniques throughout the film, showing a character who's mastered his tools completely. Original Colt Detective Specials from the 1980s now sell for $600 to $1,200, depending on condition, while earlier pre-war examples can command $1,500 to $3,000. Modern production was discontinued in 1995, making authentic specimens increasingly collectible. Concealment is critical, but sometimes the situation demands overwhelming visible force. Number 5. Browning, high power, European efficiency. Death Wish 4, 1987. Number 5 brings us to the handgun that represented European sophistication, meeting American vengeance in its purest form. The Browning high power in Death Wish 4. The crackdown shows Paul Kersey embracing high-capacity firepower, as his war against drug dealers and organized crime requires sustained engagement capability that traditional 6-shot revolvers simply cannot provide. This weapon choice signals a fundamental shift in both tactics and mindset. By Death Wish 4, Kersey has evolved beyond responding to random street crime or defending his immediate neighborhood. He's actively taking on organized narcotics operations with military-style hierarchy, professional enforcers, and unlimited resources. This means facing multiple armed opponents simultaneously, enemies equipped with military-grade automatic weapons, body armor, and tactical training. The Browning High Power's 13-round magazine provides the sustained firepower absolutely necessary when facing superior numbers with professional-level threat capability. The High Power's 9mm chambering launches a 115-grain bullet at 1,200 feet per second through its 4.6-inch barrel, delivering 368 foot-pounds of proven stopping power. Weighing 32 ounces with that revolutionary 13-round capacity, this Belgian-designed masterpiece effectively doubled the ammunition supply of traditional 6-shot revolvers while maintaining the battlefield reliability that made it the choice of military forces worldwide. Here's what makes this weapon selection brilliant for Kersey's evolved mission. Designed by legendary firearms inventor John Moses Browning and completed after his death by Belgian engineer Dieudonné Sive, the High Power became the official sidearm of choice for over 50 nations' military forces across 6 continents. Its presence in Bronson's hands signals Kersey's complete transformation from amateur American vigilante into something resembling a professional military contractor, fighting urban warfare against organized criminal armies. The single-action trigger provides exceptional accuracy through its crisp, predictable break with minimal over-travel. Meanwhile, the external hammer allows both cocked and locked carry for instant deployment and visual verification of the gun's condition at a glance. Bronson's character carries it. Condition 1 throughout the film. Hammer back with a manual, safety engaged, ready for instant deployment the moment he encounters threats. This isn't casual carry, it's professional readiness. The 9mm cartridge offers significant tactical advantages over larger calibers in sustained gunfights against multiple opponents. The lighter recoil impulse allows dramatically faster follow-up shots and target transitions, while the higher magazine capacity means fewer emergency reloads under life-threatening stress. Against multiple attackers armed with automatic weapons and superior firepower, these advantages frequently become the difference between survival and death. Watch Bronson's reload sequences carefully in Death Wish 4. The smooth magazine drops executed with proper technique, the fresh magazine seated firmly with authority and confidence, the slide released decisively to chamber the first round and bring the weapon back into battery. These aren't Hollywood dramatics choreographed for visual appeal. They're proper combat reloading techniques executed under pressure, the kind of skills that separate genuinely trained shooters from actors merely playing dress-up with props. The High Power's grip angle and overall ergonomics made it one of the most naturally pointing handguns ever designed by human hands. Point shooting accuracy, where the experienced shooter relies on instinctive kinesthetic alignment rather than precise sight picture, becomes absolutely critical in close-quarters urban combat, where speed matters as much as accuracy. Bronson demonstrates this advanced technique repeatedly throughout Death Wish 4, engaging multiple threats with devastating speed and precision that reflects genuine training. The High Power's magazine disconnect safety, which prevents firing when the magazine is removed, became controversial among some users, but enhanced safety during administrative handling. The thumb safety's positive engagement and the magazine release's accessible positioning made the design truly ambidextrous before that term became a marketing buzzword. The 13-round capacity represented revolutionary thinking in 1935 when the design was finalized. While modern double-stack 9mm pistols now hold 15, 17, or even 19 rounds, the High Power's capacity advantage over 6-shot revolvers transformed tactical thinking about sustained engagement capabilities. Surplus military High Powers from the 1980s now sell for $500 to $900 in good condition, while commercial versions in excellent condition command $800 to $1,500 from serious collectors. Belgian-made FN examples remain most desirable among purists, though Argentine FMs and Israeli variants offer solid value and proven reliability at lower price points. But European sophistication pales compared to American innovation pushed to absolute extremes. Number 4. Wildey Magnum, The Beast, Death Wish, Thra, 1985. At number 4 stands the most unconventional weapon in Bronson's entire arsenal and arguably the most unique handgun in action cinema history, The Wild E Magnum represents American firearms innovation taken to absolutely insane extremes that defy conventional thinking, and Paul Kersey wields this hand cannon like Thor wielding Mjolnir, delivering devastation that seems almost supernatural in its power. The Wild E Magnum wasn't just another gun added to the armory, it was a statement of intent. When Charles Bronson pulled this absolute monster from his coat in Death Wish 3, audiences immediately knew they were watching something completely unprecedented in cinema. This gas-operated semi-automatic fired full-power rifle cartridges from a handgun frame, creating the most powerful production semi-automatic pistol available anywhere in the world. In 1985, the Wild E's .45 Winchester Magnum chambering drives a massive 230-grain bullet at 1,400 feet per second through its 8-inch barrel, delivering 1,300 foot-pounds of absolutely devastating energy. To put that in perspective, that's more power than most hunting rifles deliver. Weighing 64 ounces empty with a 7-round magazine capacity, this beast delivers stopping power that exceeded virtually all Magnum revolvers while offering semi-automatic follow-up capability that revolvers simply couldn't match. Here's what made the Wild E truly revolutionary in handgun design. While revolvers completely dominated the Magnum handgun market throughout the 1970s and early 80s, the Wild E used a sophisticated gas-operated system, similar to military battle rifles, cycling the action through gas pressure tapped directly from the barrel through a specialized port. This innovative system allowed it to chamber cartridges far too powerful for traditional blowback or recoil-operated designs that would destroy themselves trying to handle such forces. The adjustable gas system represented engineering sophistication rarely seen in handguns. Shooters could actually tune the gun for different ammunition power levels, ensuring reliable function across a wide range of loads from mild practice ammunition to full-power hunting loads. This engineering sophistication was genuinely decades ahead of its time, though it also meant the Wild E required considerably more maintenance and mechanical understanding than simple point-and-shoot revolvers. Bronson's character choice reveals Kersey's complete mindset transformation in Death Wish 3. He's absolutely no longer hiding his vigilante activities or operating in shadows. He's openly declaring total war on the savage criminal gangs, systematically destroying his neighborhood, and the Wild E Magnum announces that declaration with every single shot. The muzzle blast alone served as devastating psychological warfare, announcing his presence blocks away. The Wild E's 7-round magazine capacity advantage over 6-shot revolvers becomes absolutely crucial in sustained engagements against multiple armed opponents. 7 rounds of genuine rifle power ammunition, delivered through rapid semi-automatic fire, provided firepower levels that simply didn't exist in any other handgun platform anywhere on Earth. Kersey could engage multiple threats at extended ranges with devastating effect that left enemies nowhere to hide. Watch carefully the recoil management required to control this monster. Even Charles Bronson, with his solid muscular build and extensive professional training, shows clearly visible muzzle rise from each shot fired. The Wild E wasn't designed for weekend recreational shooters or Hollywood posers looking cool. It demanded absolute respect, considerable physical strength, and genuine skill to control effectively under combat stress. The .45 Winchester Magnum cartridge was specifically developed exclusively for the Wild E platform, delivering performance that fell somewhere between traditional .44 Magnum revolvers and genuine rifle cartridges. At 100 yards distance, it retained more kinetic energy than most conventional handgun cartridges delivered at the muzzle, making it genuinely effective at ranges where traditional handguns became completely useless. The Wild E's appearance in Death Wish 3 should have made the company wildly successful, but reality proved different. Production numbers remained extremely limited throughout its history. The Wild E company struggled financially despite the massive Death Wish 3 exposure and free publicity, making these guns increasingly rare collectibles that serious enthusiasts hunt desperately. The gun's complexity and high manufacturing costs prevented mass production success. Each Wild E required extensive hand fitting and adjustment, making them expensive to produce and maintain. While the engineering was brilliant, the commercial reality proved challenging. Original Wild E Magnums in .45. Winchester Magnum now command $3,000 to $6,000 on the collector market. while new production by successor companies attempting to revive the design runs $4,000 to $7,000. Examples actually used in Death Wish 3 production would be essentially priceless to serious collectors. The Wildie represented the absolute peak of Paul Kersey's visible power, and his transformation into an urban warrior, operating without concealment or apology. But modern efficiency would eventually replace American brute force. Number 3. Beretta 92, Svreba Expressed, F. Modern Evolution, Death Wish, Vovstis, 1994. Number 3 takes us to Paul Kersey's final chapter, and the handgun that showed vigilante justice adapting to modern warfare with military precision. The Beretta 92F in Death Wish, Fafesviv. The face of death represents the ultimate evolution of combat handguns entering the 21st century. And Bronson's embrace of this Italian masterpiece showed audiences a character who never stopped evolving, learning, and adapting to new threats requiring new solutions. By 1994, the firearms world had changed dramatically from the revolver-dominated landscape of the 1970s. The Beretta 92F had become the official sidearm of the United States military in 1985, replacing the venerable 1911 after 7 decades of faithful service across 2 world wars and countless conflicts. Its presence in Bronson's hands connected Paul Kersey directly to contemporary military standards and professional warfighter capabilities, while maintaining his vigilante roots and street-level justice mission. The Beretta 92F's 9mm chambering fires a 124-grain bullet at 1,200 feet per second through its 4.9-inch barrel, delivering 396 foot-pounds of proven-to-stopping energy. Weighing 34.4 ounces with a 15-round magazine capacity, this double-action semi-automatic represented the absolute pinnacle of 20th-century handgun design philosophy, combining European craftsmanship with modern combat requirements. The 92F's sophisticated double-action trigger system allowed completely safe carry with a round-chambered and the hammer down in double-action mode, then manual cocking for precise single-action trigger control on the first shot when needed, with all subsequent shots fired in the lighter, crisper, single-action mode. This mechanical versatility made it genuinely ideal for both defensive carry situations and offensive combat operations, where tactical flexibility means survival. The open slide design became the Beretta's most distinctive and immediately recognizable feature. Unlike traditional closed slide pistols, where the slide completely covers the barrel, the 92F's barrel remained clearly visible through the top of the slide assembly, reducing overall weight while dramatically improving reliability by allowing debris, spent powder, and fouling to escape rather than accumulating and potentially jamming the action under adverse conditions. This open-top design proved especially valuable in urban combat environments where dust, dirt, and environmental contamination could disable lesser weapons. The Beretta kept functioning when other pistols choked, a reliability advantage that made it the military's choice over competing designs from more established American manufacturers. Bronson's handling throughout Death Wish 5 shows Kersey's complete adaptation to modern combat pistol techniques developed through decades of military evolution. The modern two-handed isosceles grip, the compressed presentation from ready position, the controlled pairs fired rapidly at multiple targets. By Death Wish 5, he's no longer just a vigilante operating on rage and determination. He's operating at professional military contractor level with skills that rival special operations personnel. The 15-round capacity plus 1 in the chamber gave Kersey 16 shots before requiring an emergency reload, nearly 3 times the capacity of his original snub-nosed Smith & Wesson revolver from the first Death Wish film. Against organized crime syndicates equipped with automatic weapons, body armor, and professional enforcers, this capacity advantage could easily mean the difference between winning the fight and dying in an alley. The 9mm cartridge's lighter recoil impulse compared to traditional .45 caliber rounds allowed dramatically faster target transitions and more accurate rapid fire during multiple threat engagements. Watch Bronson engage multiple threats in rapid sequence throughout the film. The minimal muzzle rise between shots demonstrates both the cartridge's inherent efficiency and his advanced skill level developed over 2 decades of screen combat. The Beretta's ambidextrous safety lever and magazine release made it truly versatile for shooters regardless of dominant hand, a revolutionary feature in an era when most firearms were designed exclusively for right-handed operators. While Bronson's Kersey remains consistently right-handed throughout the entire franchise. This adaptability reflects the gun's military pedigree and universal design philosophy that prioritized function over tradition. The 92F's reputation for reliability became legendary in military service. Through desert sand, Arctic cold, tropical humidity, and urban combat, these pistols simply kept functioning when maintenance became impossible and conditions grew extreme. That battlefield-proven reliability translated perfectly to Paul Kersey's urban warfare mission. Military surplus Beretta. 92 und dieses Verspamung of pistols from the 1990s now sell for $450 to $650 in good condition, while civilian commercial variants run $550 to $850 on new from dealers. Italian-made examples manufactured at the Beretta factory in Gardone Valtrompia remain most desirable among purists and collectors. Though American-made Berettas produced domestically offer identical performance and reliability at slightly lower price points. But modern efficiency, while tactically practical and militarily proven, lacks the raw emotional power of the weapon that started everything. Number 2. Smith & Wesson Model 36. The Beginning, Death Wish, 1974. At number 2 stands the revolver that launched a franchise and defined vigilante justice for a generation. The Smith & Wesson Model 36 from the original Death Wish represents Charles Bronson's most important weapon choice ever. This wasn't just a gun. It was the physical manifestation of an ordinary man's transformation into something extraordinary. When Paul Kersey receives this snub-nosed revolver from his colleague Ames in Hawaii, it marks the precise moment he transitions from victim to avenger. The Model 36's compact profile symbolized concealed power, the secret weapon of a man who appeared ordinary, but carried the means to deliver instant justice. The Model 36's 38 special chambering fires a 125-grain bullet at 875 feet per second through its 2-inch barrel, delivering 213 foot-pounds of defensive energy. Weighing 19.5 ounces with a 5-round capacity, this J-frame revolver represented the perfect balance between concealability and capability. Here's what most viewers miss about this weapon choice. The Model 36, also known as the Chief Special, was specifically designed in 1950 for law enforcement officers who needed professional-grade firepower in an easily concealed package. Its selection for Paul Kersey signals his transformation from civilian to urban soldier. The aluminum alloy frame reduced weight compared to steel frame revolvers, making all-day carry comfortable. Kersey wears this gun constantly, concealed in various positions, demonstrating the paranoia and readiness that defines his new existence. He's never unarmed, never unprepared. The 5-round capacity might seem limited compared to modern high-capacity semi-automatics, but it forced discipline. Each shot mattered. Each trigger pull required conscious intent. The Model 36 made Kersey choose his moments carefully, adding moral weight to every encounter. Bronson's first kill with this weapon, shooting a mugger who threatened him in a deserted subway station, became one of cinema's most iconic vigilante moments. The deliberate draw, the controlled shot placement, the cold efficiency. No dramatic poses, no clever quips. Just justice delivered with mechanical precision. The 38 Special's proven track record with law enforcement gave it instant credibility. This wasn't some exotic Hollywood fantasy cartridge. It was the round that protected American streets for decades, now in the hands of a citizen who'd become his own protector. The double-action trigger allowed rapid defensive fire when necessary, while single-action fire provided precision for targeted shots. Watch Bronson thumb back the hammer before shooting the mugger. That deliberate cocking demonstrates his intent. This isn't panic or accident, it's calculated retribution. The Smith & Wesson J-frame became America's most popular concealed carry revolver for solid reasons. Reliability, simplicity, and proven performance in a package that disappeared under normal clothing. Kersey could walk Manhattan streets fully armed without anyone knowing until the moment of truth arrived. Original Model 36. revolvers from the 1970s now command $600 to $1,000 depending on condition, while earlier examples can reach $1,200 to $1,800. Modern production values run $500 to $750 for new specimens. The Model 36 made Paul Kersey possible, but one weapon made him legendary. Number 1. Colt Python, the Icon Death Wish 2, 1982. Here stands the firearm that transformed Charles Bronson's Paul Kersey from urban vigilante into cinematic legend. The Colt Python from Death Wish 2 represents the absolute pinnacle of American revolver craftsmanship, and in Bronson's hands, it became the most iconic weapon of 80s action cinema. When Paul Kersey upgrades to the Colt Python for Death Wish Das Source, Historismus 2, audiences understood immediately what this meant. The compact concealment piece from the first film gave way to this gleaming 6-inch hand cannon. Kersey wasn't hiding anymore. He was declaring war. The Python's 357 Magnum chambering fires a 125-grain bullet at 1,450 feet per second through its 6-inch barrel, delivering 583 foot-pounds of devastating energy. Weighing 44 ounces with a 6-round capacity, this revolver delivered stopping power that exceeded most rifle cartridges while maintaining the reliability and simplicity of revolver design. Colt marketed the Python as the finest production revolver ever made, and they weren't exaggerating. Hand-fitted parts, a butter-smooth double-action trigger, and legendary accuracy made it the choice of serious shooters who demanded perfection. Bronson's character selection demonstrated Kersey's evolution from desperate amateur to professional avenger. The ventilated rib atop the barrel reduced mirage from barrel heat, while providing a superior sight plane. The full underlug beneath the barrel added weight that dampened recoil and improved balance. Every design element served both form and function, creating a weapon that was as beautiful as it was deadly. The 357 Magnum cartridge revolutionized handgun power when introduced in 1935. It could penetrate automobile bodies, defeat body armor, and deliver instant incapacitation against the most determined attackers. In Kersey's hands, it represented overwhelming force against the criminals who destroyed his family. Bronson's handling revealed the Python's true nature. The smooth double-action pull allowed rapid, accurate fire, while single-action cocking provided surgical precision for longer shots. Watch his target transitions, his controlled trigger resets, his absolute mastery of this magnificent weapon. The 6-inch barrel length provided the perfect balance between portability and performance. 4-inch models offered better concealability, while 8-inch versions delivered maximum velocity. But 6 inches hit the sweet spot, enough barrel to extract full power from Magnum cartridges, while remaining practical for street carry. Death Wish 2 featured the Python prominently, with extended sequences showing Bronson engaging multiple threats with devastating effectiveness. The distinctive stainless steel finish gleamed in every shot, announcing its presence before Kersey pulled the trigger. This wasn't subtle. It was spectacular. The Python's reputation for accuracy wasn't marketing hyperbole. These revolvers regularly produced 2-inch groups at 25 yards with quality ammunition, rifle-grade precision from a handgun. When Kersey needed to make precision shots in crowded environments, the Python delivered. Colt discontinued Python production in 1999 after quality control issues and high manufacturing costs made them unprofitable. This decision transformed working guns into instant collectibles. Original Pythons from the Death Wish 2 era now command $2,500 to $5,000, depending on condition, with pristine examples reaching $8,000 to $12,000. Colt resumed limited Python production in 2020, with new models selling for $1,500 to $2,000, but collectors consider originals from the Golden Age far more desirable. The Death Wish Association adds significant premium, with screen-used replicas commanding extraordinary prices. The Python made Paul Kersey immortal because it perfectly captured the essence of righteous fury. Overwhelming power in the hands of a man who had lost everything and gained something perhaps more valuable. The absolute certainty that evil would face judgment. Charles Bronson's Death Wish firearms tell a story that transcends mere movie props or Hollywood theatrics. They trace the complete evolution of Paul Kersey from frightened victim to calculated avenger to professional urban warrior, operating at levels that rivaled military contractors. Each weapon represented a different stage in that transformation, from the compact concealment piece that allowed him to walk among normal people undetected, to the gleaming hand cannon that announced his presence and purpose before he even drew it from the holster. What separated Bronson from every other action star of his era was his absolute commitment to authentic weapon handling and genuine respect for firearms as precision tools rather than theatrical toys. He didn't just show up on set and grab whatever the armorer handed him. Bronson trained extensively with professional firearms instructors, learned proper grip techniques and trigger discipline, studied tactical reloading procedures, and brought genuine technical competence to roles that lesser actors treated as pure fantasy. That authenticity resonated deeply with audiences who understood the fundamental difference between respect and glorification, between competence and pretending. Watch any Death Wish film and study Bronson's hands. The proper high thumbs grip, the controlled trigger press, the smooth presentation from concealment, the tactical awareness of his surroundings. These weren't accidents or lucky takes. They were the results of professional training and personal dedication to getting the details right. When Bronson pointed a gun at someone on screen, audiences believed he could actually hit what he aimed at. The Death Wish franchise sparked enormous controversy about vigilante justice, gun violence, urban decay, and the breakdown of civil society. Critics condemned the films as dangerous fantasies that encouraged lawlessness. Supporters praised them as honest reflections of frustrated citizens watching their cities crumble. But regardless of political perspectives or moral judgments, the films captured something profoundly true about American frustration with failed institutions and the eternal fantasy of individual empowerment against overwhelming odds. Bronson's weapons became physical symbols of that fantasy, for better or worse, embodying the desire to take control when authorities can't or won't protect innocent citizens. From the practical Smith & Wesson Model 36 that started everything in 1974 to the spectacular Colt Python that defined the franchise in 1982, each firearm reflected both technological evolution in the firearms industry and Paul Kersey's psychological journey from amateur to professional. The guns grew progressively more powerful as his mission intensified and expanded, from simple personal protection against random muggers to neighborhood liberation against organized gangs to full-scale war against drug cartels and organized crime syndicates. The weapons traced an arc from concealed defensive tools to openly carried instruments of retribution. Notice how the firearm choices mirror American gun culture's own evolution during those decades. The Model 36 represented the classic concealed carry era, when revolvers dominated personal protection. The Wildy Magnum captured the 1980s obsession with maximum power and exotic designs. The Beretta 92F reflected the modern era's embrace of high-capacity semi-automatics and military standardization. Kersey's arsenal chronicled 20 years of American firearms development. Those weapons remain legendary decades after the films left theaters because they represented something deeper than action movie spectacle or box office calculations. They embodied the transformation of ordinary men into extraordinary avengers, the channeling of grief and rage into focused purpose and directed power. In Charles Bronson's hands, steel and lead became instruments of justice, however controversial or uncomfortable that justice might be to modern sensibilities. The Death Wish guns weren't about glamorizing violence. They were about showing what happens when civilized men decide they have had enough. When institutions fail, when law becomes impotent, when good people watch evil triumph because they're afraid to act. Bronson's Kersey answered that question with cold steel and hot lead, delivering justice that courts couldn't or wouldn't provide. Which Charles Bronson Death Wish weapon captured your imagination? Because the real stories behind Hollywood's guns reveal fundamental truths about American culture, firearms evolution, and the eternal human desire for justice when institutions fail and authorities abandon their responsibilities. Remember, in Charles Bronson's world, evil doesn't negotiate or compromise. It understands only one language. And these 6 legendary firearms spoke that language with absolute fluency and devastating effectiveness.